Hey, what is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. It's the Cowboys pregame show. Today is the time. Cowboys versus Eagles. Eagles at home, 7-1. Cowboys on the road, 5-2. It's that week. I don't like using the word hate, but 2 times a year, I love saying that word. It's freaking hate week. I freaking hate the freaking Adelphia fucking Eagles. Can't stand them. Today's the day. It's time, 4 p.m. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We're going to take about 15 to 20 minutes here and talk about this key matchup here. You know, I've been a Cowboy fan for God knows how long, since 77, going back to many years, many decades, almost half a damn century, but it's time, guys. It's time. Dallas 5-2, Eagles 7-1. What could be better, right? 2 relevant teams this year. Eagles cream of the crop of the NFC. Dallas is right there, second and third, in the conference as well. Only losses to San Francisco, of course, an ass beating, and a letdown against Arizona. The Eagles 7-1, their losses to the New York Jets. Didn't see that happening, but it happened any given Sunday, I guess, right? So let's talk about this matchup today. Dallas goes into the Linc. Healthy? No, not really. Eagles healthy? Yes, very healthy. The Eagles, let's talk about them first. Jalen Hurts, not playing a great year this year, looking a little bit different from the last year's, equivalency to the RPO under the offense there, the tutelage of the head coaches that left there. But DeAndre Swift, a huge acquisition coming into the Philadelphia Eagles, St. Joe's Prep product, hometown boy, local boy, played his high school ball, St. Joe's Prep. Had the occasion of meeting him many times, talking to him. Great guy, off the field. Wish him well. But, hey, they're very healthy. A.J. Brown's leading the league right now. 6 straight 100-yard games, of course, playing lights out, of course, there. Devontae Smith, what can you say that bad about this kid as well? Playing great. He's a pass catcher, a route runner that can high point any ball from anywhere on the field. He's going to be, to me, one of the factors in this game today. I think they double bracket A.J. Brown today. But then you go to the other wide receiver, another St. Joe's Prep product, Lama Zacchaeus. He's a St. Joe's Prep product. He's more like the hidden gem in there. He's going to be the slot receiver along with A.J. Brown, a huge acquisition as well. The guy that I think is going to solidify the offense today is going to be Dallas Goedert. It's crazy that Dallas is going to beat Dallas today in that secondary. Goddard is one of those guys that Dallas does struggle with tight ends in the secondary level. I'll get into matchups there, why I think that's going to happen. You're going to bracket. You're going to play 2 safety high over the top of A.J. Brown. Most likely Malik Hooker will come down and play that slot over the top there. So I think it's going to be a key matchup on Devontae Smith, either be on a Gilmore or a Deron Bland, of course. But the secondary has to bracket one of the two. You got to pick your poison, what you want to do. If the Eagles are smart, what they're going to do is they're probably going to play A.J. Brown on the outside, of course, but he's going to run that mid-level secondary region. Devontae Smith's going to take the roof off here, which is going to leave. It's going to be like a progression tree, what I call a 3-7-9 route. Your first runs a 3, your next one runs a 7, your next one runs 9. This way it opens up the middle of the field. There's no boundary that's, with 2 wide receivers in the same slot. So I think that's going to be a huge matchup there. The other one is, Malik Hooker, like I said, he's going to have to come down and play that position on top of A.J. Brown. The one person that's kind of scary to me that's really not showing up this year is Jaron Kearse. With Donovan Wilson banged up right now, he is going to play today, but he's not starting. Donovan Wilson is our key keep in the secondary playing the safety this year. He hasn't, played his greatest games this year, being, coming from last year, being a hard hitter like Roy Williams coming back in the day. But to me, Malik Hooker has to be that presence on top of A.J. Brown. But then again, you have Devontae Smith coming across as a speedster too that can high point any ball. So advantage both sides, Dallas and, of course, Philadelphia. But the key person here is going to be Dallas Goedert in the middle range here. The reason why I say that is Dallas struggles with the mid-secondary level. That secondary level is is good. Losing Trayvon Diggs goes a long way, of course. We see that, 7 interceptions, great ball hawk, does get beat a lot, but the safeties have learned to play with that. Jerron Blanc comes in. He's a great corner, a second-year player here, of course. But when he plays, he adjusts to the line of scrimmage. He plays on the ball. He plays the more physical wide receiver. The downfall to the corners with Dallas Cowboys is Stephon Gilmore. A veteran presence, of course, plays the ball very well, but he lacks that fundamental, get off speed. He has great hip movement to can turn the ball right and left, plays the ball, of course, doesn't play the wide receiver, plays the ball, which we want to see. But the one thing, if you watch Stephon Gilmore, he has given up a lot of deep balls. Not deep balls where it's scored TDs. They bend, but they don't break. The second level comes down, the safeties come down. But Gilmore has been getting beat with a lot of speed wide receivers. He plays possession wide receivers pretty good. The lack of speed with the high value wide receiver like Devontae Smith is going to cause problems there. So I think the Dallas Cowboys will be running a single high safety at times, but I think they're going to go more of a two-man zone with safeties over the top, because I think you're going to have Javon Curse actually, shade one side of the field versus Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown will be covered with a safety over the top with Malik Hooker. I think that's what they're going to have to do, which is a bad point, because you're right there. You're playing a 9 on 11 football. Your two safeties have to demand that 10th, 11th guy for the Philadelphia Eagles. So the middle of the field is going to be wide open. Then again, what do you have to control? You have to control DeAndre Swift coming out of the backfield. Just not easy to do. We know how he's physical. He runs off the ball. He has speed. Coming from Detroit, having a little injury, prone season there. Eagles picked him up. Looks like he found the fountain of youth. I think one of the biggest assets was actually coming back to Philadelphia, and working with his father down there at the Swift gym down there. Marcus Thomas checking in. Marcus Thomas, one of my great friends, a former Philadelphia Eagle. Guys, if you get a chance, please check him out at Pro Fan Talk on Twitter as well, on YouTube as well. Great guy. I had the privilege of doing a show with Marcus a couple days ago. We do it every year. Philadelphia Eagles, Cowboys talk every year. It's one of my favorite things to do. Hearing Marcus talk X and O's, because he's lived it on the field, college as well. It's a great asset to talk to. He agrees that it's going to be one in the trenches here, which we'll get into. But of course, it's going to be one of those games where that mid-level range, I think, Goddard could demand that middle of the field here. But getting back to it, I think Goddard is going to be the X factor here today. I think they're going to shadow A.J. Brown. You're going to take away one of them, but you can't take away both, him and Devontae Smith. So I think Goddard and Swift is going to have the biggest day here. I think the Eagles have to adjust the offensive line here. They're going to run the ball at the line of scrimmage. Because that offensive line, man, it's not a joke, man. A lot of people, here like, oh, Dallas fan, why is he praising the Eagles? Well, hey, you got to give credit where credit's due, number one. And that Eagles offensive line, man, they're nasty. They get at you. There's a reason why, I don't call it the brotherly shove. I still call it the Bush push. But there's a reason why that works, man. Physicality, fundamental, scheme. And when you got a quick QB that, bench presses 600, 700 pounds, man, not benches, but squats, tells you something. It's not easy to do. But give praise where praise is due, man. Devontae Swift, I think, is going to have a big day today. Dallas gives up a lot of yards, man, with the run here. Kind of puzzling, because that defensive line is pretty stout. It really is. I mean, they're pretty deep as well. I mean, they're not big like the Philadelphia Eagles, but you have Lawrence on the outside, Hankins, of course, Odigizua, Dorrance Armstrong, and then you can bring in like a Sam Williams off the edge, Mozzie Smith, their first-round pick, of course, Nevin Gallimore. They go 7 deep on this defensive line here. The front 7, 8 can get at you. The linebackers aren't what they used to be. I mean, of course, we can use Parsons. It's going to be moving around a lot today. He's going to play that edge, of course. But I think that he's going to be playing a little bit of linebacker, too, in that mid-level. I think he's definitely going to start off, on the edge here, try to get pressure on Jalen Hurts, of course, because you got to keep Jalen in the pocket. And you got to play fundamental football. You got to play assignment football. We've seen in the game where the Arizona Cardinals showed something, where Parsons was getting pressure, but he was going upfield, staying on that outside lane. And a quarterback like Dobbs, he climbed the pocket, found the lanes, and took off. A lot of times when you're on offense and you see a defense being very aggressive, what's the best thing you want to do? You want to run right through the lanes there. You want to continue them up the pocket, find the lanes to get downfield, or you fit a little slip screen or a little slants there. I think the Eagles, start out with the running attack first. I think that's where they go with this one. But to me, the matchup, like I said, is going to be Goddard, because I'm a little afraid that there's one guy that he played safety last year, Marquise Bell. He's a little light in the box, of course. He's a hard hitter, but he's light when he plays a tight end. And I think that's going to be the spy on them. Then you're going to go down to Damon Clark, playing wide side linebacker. I do love him. Very physicality. I think he's going to be okay there. But the other one to me is going to be our Devontae Fowler. If he comes in the game, he's very slow. So I don't think a lot of the backups get a lot of rotation today. They will have to, but I don't think they're going to be progressing in the right direction to, cover the wide receivers and the tight ends that Dallas has. Looking at the Dallas Cowboys here, you think about the one biggest thing here is health of coming into this game. There's a big problem here. Dak's healthy, which is fine. Pollard's fine, coming off the injury last year. I said, okay, what is he going to be? Are we going to miss a get-up step here, come with that speed, the jump cut with Tony Pollard? Pollard's been on the ball, man. The problem is we're not running the ball exclusively like we did a couple years ago in the past 2 years with Pollard, Zeke, of course. Coming into the season, we gave up Zeke, of course. He wanted the money. He goes to the Patriots for, a lukewarm deal. But I tell you what, man, honestly, I really do miss Zeke because it gives you that 1-2 punch. We saw Pollard glimpse and glamour of what he did last year, that speed, that breakaway, ability. But when you're the every down back, man, that goes a long way. You're playing running back and you're playing a 3-down back when last year you came in, you weren't exclusively 1, 2, 3 back. I think that's hurting Pollard a little bit. I mean, his yardage is not what it used to be. His breakaway speed is there, but the ability to carry the down on 1, 2, and 3, it really hurts Pollard. And I see that this year. Going into our backup, Rico Dowdy and Deuce Vaughn. I mean, we don't have a running back over 220 right here. Dowdy's about 200 flat. Deuce Vaughn, I think, my thigh weighs more than him. Exclusive speed. But, when we signed Ronald Jones coming in, then he got kicked off the team for, possession, suspended for 2 weeks, and they got rid of him. They had the opportunity to go out and get it back like Derrick Henry. They wanted a first and a second round. My thing is, and I'm not the GM here, but when you're a 25 level team, the draft pick wise, you're not going to be in the top 10. You're not going to be in the top 20. You're sitting at 5-2. You're probably going to go maybe 11-6 in that general area. So you're going to draft probably around 24 to, Super Bowl, 31 here. So my thing is give up the first round pick because that 25 pick is not going to mean to you. It's win now or nothing. This Dallas Cowboys team is built to win. There's puzzles, pieces that we need to do. And that's what bothers me with the Cowboys. Everybody's making moves. We see the Eagles make moves. We see all these teams making moves. Look at the Niners. They gave up that. They got, Chase Young out there. They went out and got a player. They were in draft hell because of the Trey Lance deal. But they still went out and got, did a deal here. They're selling the farm to get better for the year now. The window's there. They have a young QB, but still, Dallas needs to make these moves as well. But getting back to the offensive line here, the one thing I do want to talk about, this is a clear advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles today. What scares me the most, we know Tyron Smith, all world, all universe. We've seen him coming out of USC many, almost over a decade now. The problem is he's very injury prone. We're lucky if he plays 11 games a year. Well, he's been out 3 games already. The Arizona game, it showed, climbing the pocket against Tyron Smith's backup. Now, today, he's questionable. We don't know. We have until 3 hours until the inactive roster comes out. I believe it's 2 hours before the game. But right now, he's questionable. He's practiced, but he's limited. That tells me that, okay, well, maybe an 80% Tyron Smith is better than what we have on the backup. Going to our backup here scares me. Chuma Edoga, who we got from the New York Jets this year in the trade as a waiver pickup. He's injured too, questionable too. So your top 2 left tackles are questionable for this game. What is the strongest side for the Eagles? The left side. Hassan Reddick coming off that edge there. That's what scares me the most with this offensive line today. You got Brandon Graham on that side. It's something that really scares me a lot because that speed that they have on the outside is just something that you're going to be dealing with the entire game with the Dallas Cowboys. With Tyron Smith out, Chuma Edoga possibly out. God, man, you got to go to Asim Richards, who hasn't even started this year for us. He played left guard one time when Tyler Smith had to move to left tackle. But then again, you're going next to a Tyler Bye as a center, even that's to help out. Because we'll get to the center point in a minute. I mean, that's a clear advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles as well with that defensive line. But this offensive line, man, it's going to tell me one thing. I was listening to a show earlier and I commented, I think Dallas is definitely going to have to run a 12 personnel, probably about 70% of this game on offense. It's not going to be that high-flying offense. It's going to be the true West Coast where getting the ball, 1, 2, 3-step drop, take what the defense gives you. It's going to be one of those games, going back 2 years when the beginning of the season, when Dak, everybody questioned Dak for throwing the ball 60 times that game at the beginning of the season. Why is Zeke only getting the ball, 3 carries for the entire game? Well, a lot of times your back has to step up and block that end coming up, not even a chip, but just, putting a secure block on them. That's what I think Dallas is going to do with a lot of 12 personnel, especially if Tyron Smith is out. Maybe if even Udoka's out, that's going to be something very special where they're going to have to use a double tight end on the side out there, either running that or, maybe Hunter Kilke gets in the game as tight fullback here, comes in and plays, secure block on the outside because you're going to have to use that. The other thing is the center, Tyler Baez. I mean, he's going against a huge stout this defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what scares me as well. I mean, you could possibly get Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. That front four that's just the front four there. There's something to be reckoned with. Tyler Baez is the play caller, the signal caller. He's not Jeff Saturday and Peyton Manning out there. He's not going to make 100% adjustments on that offensive line on the fly. So that's going to be a little bit scary too. I don't think there's anybody in the league that can contain Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis is just a beast alone too. So you're going to have that rotation there. That second guy coming in off the ball. I think Dallas does do one thing today. I think that what they do is they try to move the sticks. Of course, we move the sticks in football, but the one thing I see Dallas doing is not substituting on the offensive line today on the offense. I think they try to go to a little hurry up here because the one thing that you don't want to do, you don't want to keep the Eagles fresh on the D-line. They're very active. Their front seven is incredibly fast. They have a rotation too. So I think if I'm McCarthy, I'm going out there and saying, hey, you know what? Let's continue. Let's go run a hybrid offense here. Let's get to the ball. Let's get a quick snap count. Don't let the Eagles adjust. If we continue to move the ball, what's the best thing? Move the sticks, keep the defense on the field, keep them gas for air a little bit. The big guy, Jalen Carter, and of course Jordan Davis, they need air. Take the air right out of them. Make them beat you. Make them, feel like, damn, I can't breathe today. That's what you need to do. You need to continue to move the ball, keep them off the field. Don't let them substitute because, when the offense substitute, the ref comes in and says, hey, we have to stop the play. That's what happens. They get substitution rights. So I think Dallas comes out and they continue to run the ball. The one thing I don't think is going to happen today, a lot of people saying Pollard's going to have a great game. I don't see him having a good game today. I really don't. I think he's going to struggle inside the gaps here. I think if they're going to run him, they're going to get him outside. Dallas hasn't run a lot of tosses outside this year. They haven't really ran to the outside. They're not an outside the hash mark run team this year. Last year they were with Tony Pollard, hitting off tackle a little bit. But this team here, I don't think you're going to have time with that pulling system with the Dallas Cowboys that they usually do. The Philadelphia Eagles are too fast up front. Their mobility to get after the ball, their end stay home. Hassan Reddick can come off the ball, play on the ball. Very good. The only thing that I want to say is the linebacker position for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're okay. I mean, Nakobe Dean is undersized to me. I think he is a liability with you're playing big tight ends here. And the Dallas Cowboys coming across the slot, CD, Gallup, Cooks, of course. So I think that is an advantage for the Dallas Cowboys as well. Also with the Philadelphia Eagles, the tight end position are very strong. You think about Goddard, the bigger name, of course, but we have Hendershot and Shoemaker, a second-round pick. But, you think about their linebackers there. Zach Cunningham playing there as well. I think this is going to be an advantage to the Dallas Cowboys. If we can get time and, get Dak Prescott in the pocket to avoid, the pass rush, of course. I don't want to see him going inside and outside. The Philadelphia Eagles are very fast in the front seven. They can move. So I think Dak is going to have to climb the pocket, look what the defense gives you. If that mid-range, 5 to 7 yard, 9 yard swing route there, I think they're going to sit in the zone. They're going to look for the zones, the matchups in the zone here against the linebackers, of course. We've seen Slay play. Slay's playing great. A lot of people say he's not playing that good. He has given up a lot of deep balls. He looks a little bit different this year, but it's a learning curve when you lose, Gardner Johnson, of course, is a safety position. That goes a long way when you have a backing guy like that. Reed Blankenship's actually, very good as well. Sidney Brown is going to be playing the slot today, I think, which is a clear advantage for the Dallas Cowboys on CD. If they're smart, CD's got to play that inside slot game there. He's a matchup for pretty much anybody in the NFL right now playing slot. And I think there's going to be a lot of rub routes, a lot of, double moves here on the part of CD and whoever's on his side, either Brandon Cooks or a Michael Gallup, of course. I think if you can get CD, an inside-outside move and run a go route on the outside sidelines, I think that safety is going to get beat, or the corner is going to beat, or the slot guy coming in. I think that's an advantage to the Dallas Cowboys. But The person that I want to pick on today, assuming that, that's the way it's going to run today, is what we've seen so far. And that's going to be your second corner, Bradbury. Bradbury isn't having the greatest year, of course, this year. So I think that's where they're going to pick on, just like I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to pick on Gilmore as well. I think they're going to test Bland. Bland is probably going to be, they don't move as much side to side, of course, like a lot of, the elite ones do. They play on islands like Darrelle Revis, of course. That's why they call it Revis Island. But a lot of corners don't shade side to side. So Gilmore's pretty much playing on his side there. He plays on the left side. But my thing is, if A.J. Brown goes to that side, it's going to be a little bit different because Gilmore can actually stay with him, but the speed and possession of A.J. Brown is going to kill Gilmore there. That's what kind of scares me, too, with Malik Hooker coming over the top. Dron Bland is more physical. He has a little bit more speed, of course, than a Gilmore. So I think he's going to – hopefully that he matches up on Devontae Smith a little bit there. I want to see that matchup there. But this is going to be a chess match no matter what. You're looking at two teams that – hybrid on offense, hybrid on defense. What I see is this game is just going to be a chess match, honestly. What coach comes out, calls the right, assignments here. And the word is execution. We can call the perfect game, but you have to execute on the field, number one. I don't see this game being a blowout. A lot of people say with this, the way the Eagles are playing, they haven't put together a game completely yet. You're right. And Dallas hasn't done that either. You look at the assignments here. I mean, the offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys is banged up, and that's no excuses. You'll never hear me say an excuse. On my show, I keep it real no matter what. And I tell you, man, if they suck, they suck. If they play good, they play good. Are they elite? They could be, but they're not. I keep it real. It's unfiltered and truthful. To me, the advantage is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles on many parts of the game today. Honestly, we'll go position by position real quick. Let's talk QB. QB, I give the advantage to Jalen Hurts. His ball is looking great. I mean, he's not played a complete game. Dak hasn't either. Dak is limited the interceptions, of course, but he hasn't put together a game anyway. At least Jalen Hurts can read the pocket, climb the pocket, get out with his legs too, even though he's banged up with a bone bruise. But Dak has shown glimpses of that too. Running the ball the last couple of weeks, extending the sticks. 2 first downs running the ball last week. Showed us a lot when it had to. 3rd and 15, he got one. I think it was 3rd and 9, he got one. Moving his sticks. But I still give the advantage to Jalen Hurts, of course. Running back wise, man, that's kind of a situation where depth wise, yes, I give it to the Philadelphia Eagles. DeAndre Swift, of course. Then you have goodness gracious, I'm sorry, but Kenneth Gainwell, of course. Then you have Boston Scott out, Rashad Penny too. You went out and got him. He hasn't even gotten a game yet. And you look at the Dallas Cowboys, Tony Pollard. Come on, man, Rico Dowdy, Deuce Vaughn. That's bad. That's kind of bad right there. You're a one punch. At least the Philadelphia Eagles can bring in a back that's speed, and then bring in another one, of course, with Rashard Penny being a speed guy and also a power back. Coming from Seattle, and he's healthy. He hasn't really played this year as well. Tight ends, I give it to Dallas Cowboys. Depth wise, I give it to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sorry, with Goddard, but depth wise, I give it to the Dallas Cowboys. Hendershot's not in the game. He's on the IR. But then you go out, you got rookie Schoonmaker, who's a pass catcher, a run blocker from Michigan. You have him. And, of course, you have, Jake Ferguson, which is a ball catcher. Reminds me like a sort of a Jason Witten, but not there yet. Now, I don't think he'll ever be. But, there. Then you go offensive line, of course. Advantage Philadelphia Eagles, man. You talk about this offensive line. I mean, what can't you not say? Malata, Dickerson, Kelsey, Suapura, and Lane Johnson. You have to go offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles. Versus our offensive line. I mean, come on. Tyron Smith, is he playing? Tyler Smith, right left guard there. Future Hall of Fame player to me. I mean, he's playing lights out for his second year here. Tyler Baez, center. Well, you know what? Going against the Eagles front seven scares me. Zach Martin, all world, all pro, all universe. We already know what he does. He ain't giving up anything. No sacks, no pressures. He's just a man. Terrence Steele. That right side, I'm not worried about. But it's that left side. I'm really scared, man. That left side scares the hell out of me, honestly. Especially with Tyron Smith being out, maybe, or even out 80%. You're dealing with two animals on that side of there. You're dealing with Brandon Graham. You're dealing with Hassan Reddick. That stunt move, that twist could cause major problems for a 80% Tyron Smith who can't backpedal as well anymore. He's got the stinger in his his neck and going down to his back. Man, when you're coming up and you got speed on the outside, what happens if he plays wide and Brandon Graham goes in outside and Hassan Reddick comes on the interior twist? How's Tyron Smith going to sufficient that move? You can't without speed. Then Chuma Doga, his backup, he's questionable. Then you bring in a guy like Asim Richards, who's a utility man. He's actually going to play. He can play right guard. He can play left guard. He can play left tackle. He's played 3 positions for us this year in backup mop-up time. But you're going to a third-string guy versus an elite front 4 with the Philadelphia Eagles. Advantage Philadelphia Eagles. Wide receivers. Wide receivers, honestly, I give the advantage to the Philadelphia Eagles too. A.J. Brown, 6 straight 100-yard games. C.D. Lamb, right there with them. Elite versus elite. 1A right there. Boom. Very simple. Then you go to that second wide receiver. Advantage DeVonta Smith. The guy is a number 1 wide receiver on many teams. He starts on another team. He's the 1A receiver right away. Boom. He can start anywhere. Us, well, we have a wash of players that can do what we need to do. Brandon Cooks has finally showed up the last couple of weeks. We have, Michael Gallup, who at times I think, if I go to the store, I go to Walmart, which I usually shop at, I go to the milk section, I see his face as an MIA. Where's he been ever since he's got paid coming off the injury? Where's he been at? He shows glimpses of a downfield possession receiver, a high flyer, great route runner. But where's he been? Today you need 3 wide receivers to step up against this Eagles defense. Their back end is not what it should be. Their front 4, their front 7, their front 4, I want to say actually, is this elite. Their linebackers are mediocre. That's the second level. That safety play is something to be reckoned with. So the middle of the field is going to be there. You can't just have 2 wide receivers or 1 wide receiver and not have a Gallup show up or a Brandon Cooks show up. They're going to bracket C.D. Lamb. That safety is going to be in a shell on top of him. So we need another guy out there on the outside. Either Cook stretches the field, take the safety deep. I don't think the safety is going to roam with him. I think Bradbury or Slay, whoever's on him, will stay on him one-on-one. I think they play man-on-man. And they rely on the safeties to come down to help Lamb. One of them are going to come down. You can't put a linebacker on him. You're not going to put Cindy Brown on him. If you do, then you're going to have to put a safety on top of him. That's just given in with any team as well. But the advantage goes to the wide receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles. You got 2 1A, 1B wide receivers, DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown. Dallas has that 1A. Then you drop down to a 1C. Cooks, hey, I'm not going to knock the guy. 3,000-yard receiving yards in Houston with a quarterback that really we don't even know about. We can't even talk about. He still has it. He still has tread on the tires. We've seen it last week. He got a deep ball, got a slant route, almost got his head taken off, got back up, played another play. But the Philadelphia Eagles are loaded. Tight ends as well, I already said, is the advantage to depth-wise is, of course, the Dallas Cowboys. Secondary play, corners are straight up exactly the same. I think Bradbury and Slay are equivalent to a Gilmore and Deron Bland. Safety-wise, I like our safeties. The only downfall is Javon Curse, man. My co-host Dave Yarnell loves this guy, and I try to keep it real, and we always disagree on certain things. But opinion is football. Football is opinionated, of course. I don't like him. Donovan Wilson being out is really hurting. He is going to play today, but he's not starting. He is still nursing an injury, of course. To me, he's the back end general. That field general on the back end solidifies that back end. Malik Hooker is okay. He does help out a lot, and he's used to helping out because Trayvon Diggs is out. He's always helped out Trayvon Diggs on outside because we know Trayvon is a ball hawk, a jump router. That happens. Deron Bland is that same guy, but he can stay with the wide receivers. He plays the ball more than Stephon Diggs does. Not taking it away from Diggs, but Diggs was a more of a utility corner where a lot of bad balls went his way too. Half of his pick were floated balls, batted balls, a couple jump routes that were clearly 100% on him. Great ball play, but Deron Bland is the more physical, more I want to say more fundamental corner. Gilmore is that fundamental veteran corner who lacks the speed. So that is going to be an advantage to the Philadelphia Eagles having DeVonta Smith, run on him as well. So I think Dallas does use a lot of 2 safeties. Javon Curse kind of scares me in the back end today. That's my scary part right there. The other one is Marquise Bell on Dallas Goedert. Marquise Bell is a light linebacker with speed, but he struggles with big tight ends. 2 of the plays that George Kittle scored on with the Niners game were on Marquise Bell. The one play where Kittle, of course he's physical, he has speed. It's just a freaking nature, like a Kelsey type, player. They are tight end university, of course. They run that program, but Marquise Bell struggled on that point. So I think it's going to be an advantage to the Dallas tight end. The Philadelphia Eagles tight end. But I think Marquise Bell can stay with them. But they've got a chip on the offensive line. If Goddard's in the slot here, I think you got to play man on top of him. You don't get him released on the line. The size, it goes to the Philadelphia Eagles here at tight end. But to me, the keys to the game, Dallas has to come out and call a great game. We have to establish the run, which I think is going to be very hard against this front four, of course. Pollard, I don't think is going to have a great day. I think Dallas, this is going to be one of the games where Dallas plays that true West Coast offense, which scares me a little bit because the West Coast offense is pretty snap. You get up to the line, you check your line. Of course, you set the line there. Then you look at the Eagles defense. They're gonna show you something. They're gonna show you a little bit different looks. They're gonna get after Dak. They're gonna pin their ears back to get to Dak. Dak has to make that read where I want to see Dak Prescott become. Never going to happen, but you're going to see. I want him to come out there and be that Peyton Manning type guy. I want to hear him look on the outside. Call the check down, call the audible, call the hot route. I want you to describe who the linebackers come in. The jack linebacker, he's hot. He's not coming. He's dropping. What are they in a zone? Pressure zone. What are they in a cover two, man on man? What are they playing here? A shell. What are they playing? I want to see Dak read that. That's something that always scares me about Dak is not being able to read progressions of the defense. Make the right assignment. Go into the line of scrimmage. You always have that either hot route, the check down route. And I think, Pollard's going to be a lot of chipping here. They're going to run a lot of 12 personnel, the chip Hassan Reddick side. I'm not really worried about that right-hand side, with Terrence Steele and Zach Martin. I'm not worried about that side. I'm worried about the left side. Really am. I think they're going to be using a lot of 12 personnel. I can see a lot of Shoemaker in this game because Shoemaker is our more blocking tight end. Ferguson is our more pass-catching tight end. So we might see, a lot of 13 personnel, 12 personnel, 13 personnel at times. We really can't run 13, honestly, with one guy on IR right now. And that's just going to tell me that's going to be, a more physical game up front. If Dallas can establish the run game, I think we do go to a heavy personnel. Maybe we go schoolhouse right, schoolhouse left. I don't know what we see. But I think Dak's going to have to get the ball out very fast this game. I think Dak's probably going to put the ball up at least 35 times today. Take what the defense gives you. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Not low-scoring. I'm going to go 33-29. I'll give you who I think is going to win in a little bit. But I think it's going to be one of those games where it's defense, take what they give you. Take your shot downfield to keep the defense honest. I mean, you can't just come out in the game here and just, throw 3-yard, 5-yard, slants, what I call 3-7-9 drops on offense. You can't do that. You got to keep this Philadelphia Eagles defense honest. You got to keep the safeties in the back end. They can't creep down to the box, because that takes away what Dallas Cowboys are, a physical running team. So I think you got to keep them honest. You got to take your shots downfield. I would love to see a play come out and say, hey, you know what, we've got CD in the slot. Go 3 wide, go twins right or single left, run a motion sweep with Turpin to show that to. So the linebackers say, okay, Turpin's coming in motion. A lot of window dressing. Wow, we got to compensate for that. If I'm a play caller, I'm thinking like, okay, I call plays up here where I'm at. I have, an assistant saying, okay, Paul, the swing man came across the linebacker pulled. It's there. Come back to it. Next set or 2 sets later when I need it, I come back to it. I always write down things efficient, what the defense does versus what I'm doing. I like to see Gallup go deep. I like to see Cooks go deep, either one on the first play. I don't want to maybe even you come out play action right to Pollard, of course, do that and hit it, a swing route coming across the middle, a drag route, post corner route to one of the speedsters. This way it keeps the safeties at a disadvantage, saying, okay, well, Dallas is not afraid to throw the ball. They're going to throw the ball to us. So let's do that too. But I think Dak throws the ball between 35 to 40 times a day. I think he's probably going to have about a 270-yard game today. I do think he gets one through the air. The one thing that scares me is Dallas does not score in the red zone. I know Philadelphia doesn't score in the red zone that much either. They have issues as well. But Dallas leads the league in red zone opportunities missed, man. I think they have 5 TDs in the red zone for the entire year in 7 games. Pretty bad when you've been down there 14 times. 5 out of 14, you're under 50%, damn near under 70% to me. I'm not a mathematician, but, Villanova education, they don't go far. But, they're very bad in the red zone. That's the one thing I don't understand when you got a Michael Gallup who's 6'2", a high point the ball. You have a Ferguson who's, 6'6", catching the ball at tight end here. You have the ability to get out front. The play call has been lackluster. I'm not going to lie to you. This was 2 weeks ago. I was watching the game, and I almost threw my remote at my projection screen. Dallas was at the 6-yard line, and they're running over a pistol. They fake it, and they run a freaking screen at the 5-yard line. This doesn't make sense to me. I can understand the little dump pass or something like that, like Mahomes runs, a little shovel pass. I can see that. But the play calling that McCarthy has been doing in the red zone is just mind-blowing. It really is. But, I think this game's going to be a division game where, regardless of record, 7-1, 5-2, I think this is going to be a game that's going to go both ways here. What I want to see is Turpin. I always yell Turpin time to get the ball in special teams. I think he does get one one clear, good run out of this here on a punt return here. I think he gets a little good yardage on that one. I think he sets it up for a good field position battle with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he gets down to Eagles territory. I think he breaks one for about 45 to 50 yards here today. The Eagles have, they're good on special teams, but, they haven't really been that team on special teams. McCovey's been playing a little bit better, as my friend Marcus Thomas says, he's not crash test McCovey anymore, crash dummy McCovey, whatever you want to call him. He's been, being patient, and that's what we need. Turpin's been patient. When we see him get the ball and just fly out, doing a 100-meter dash like Carl Lewis used to do it back in the day, you don't have that ability to make that cut. Turpin's been patient. He broke one last week. One did come back. Then he had another 55-yard punt return, almost to the house. But he is doing pretty good. So I think this game is going to be back and forth today. I think it's going to be a 33-29 game. I do stay away from this game. I don't bet this game. I bet a lot, as a lot of people know. This is one of the games I stay away with. I've learned my lesson. Two things I don't bet on. People don't believe this, but I do not bet on Notre Dame, and I do not bet on the Dallas Cowboys. I've learned my lesson very well ever since one year. Hate to say it, but I lost $20,000 on one bet. That was the Notre Dame Alabama BCS game. Worst probably weekend of my life. Probably the worst thing I've ever done in my life. Bet $20,000 out of my account to take Notre Dame +7. I knew they weren't going to win, but I took them. I'm sorry, it was +8.5 is what I took them. Well, they lost 46-10. Opportunity to go down there, tickets, $800 for tickets, airfare like $700, room for the weekend. It was a Monday night game. I'm telling you, it was a Tuesday night game. I left here on a Saturday morning, got there Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, 4 days, ended up spending down there, hyped up for the game, lost the game. And that was like almost a $25,000 loss, that weekend. So that I learned that the hard way. I do not bet on Notre Dame. I don't care if they're playing Sisters of the Poor. I do not bet Notre Dame. Will not bet them at all. The other thing is I do not bet the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care who they play. I don't bet the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe I'm not lying. I will put maybe like a $5 bet on just for fun, just to see, my curiosity. But I do not bet on Dallas Cowboys. And this is one of the games where records don't matter. I don't care if the Eagles are 8-0 and Dallas is 0-8. I don't bet on this game because in the NFC East, we know it's somebody has each other's number. Dak's played the Philadelphia Eagles very well. Washington, of course, has played the Eagles very well. Taking them to overtime, how they played them this year, of course. Last year, so they're undefeated to run the Redskins Commanders, sorry. We're one of the teams to beat them. So you stay away from the NFC East there, going into it. But, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Hey, I think the Dallas Cowboys win this game today. I really do. But it's going to take a huge three-sided effort. McCarthy has to call the right game today. He's got to put the players in position. You got to suffice that Eagles front four. A lot of 12 personnel chipping on the outside. You got to call a good game here. Pollard's not going to have the best game. So once again, I said Dallas is going to probably throw the ball a lot today. They're going to test that Eagles secondary. But my players of the game. Okay. Hate to say this, but I think it's going to be a tight end game today. I think A.J. Brown does. You can control him. You can't shut him down. You're not going to contain him. Not going to happen. You can try. He's not going to get a 100-yard game today. I don't think so. But I think one of the wide receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles do get 100 yards. I think that's going to be Devontae Smith. The reason why I said it's going to be on Gilmore. Gilmore's going to be that corner that's going to play on Devontae Smith there. So I think it's going to be a Devontae Smith, game today. I think he's going to have the most yardage on the offense for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Goddard's going to be a huge selection as well. So to me, it's going to be, more of a passing game. The question is, can they control DeAndre Swift? I don't know. We'll see. DeAndre Swift has been playing lights out too, inside-outside game, his jump cuts, his speed, his power. And once again, I said, going back to Philadelphia, working with his dad at the gym, I think it's showed a lot of power because I know a high school, college, going from prep to Georgia to Detroit to Philadelphia is a different animal. It's like playing high school football, then getting right to the NFL level. But this reminds me of glimpses of DeAndre Swift at St. Joe's Prep. I watched him play for 4 years, traveled, always watched the team. But this is taking me back to the DeAndre Swift of the St. Joe's Prep Hawks. The way he was physical, not injured, running the ball, carried the ball whenever he needed to, jump cut, speed, power. This is what it reminds me of how he's looking. I think that goes a lot to his dad as well, being a trainer down there too. But I think Dallas does win this game 33-29. Hopefully I'm right. I just want a good game no matter what. I'm the type fan, hey, I keep it real. If the Dallas Cowboys wins, I'm not going to gloat it. I'll throw something up there saying, how about them Cowboys? But to be honest with you, even if the Eagles win, honestly, I think, it's going to be a game that's going to be one in the trenches. It's all going to start up front. And, I'm going to be the first one to say, hey, the better team wins, and I'll give you 100% credit when you do. Regardless of who team that is. Scott Shelton checking in. It's going to be a good game. I can't believe this is the first time Hurts and Dak play against each other. Well, yeah, that's one of the things too. I mean, you look at health-wise, Scott. Scott, thank you for checking in. Been a long time, brother. Glad you're checking in. Thank you. I appreciate that. Scott, before you leave, give me your final prediction too. I know you're going to go with the Eagles here, but let me know what your prediction is. I want to see how close people are. We do have a lot of comments that came in on our other board here, but they didn't come up on here. But you're right. I think that's one of the things I like to see. I'm the type, I'm a fan first, number one, of the NFL. I'm a fan first of all sports. I'm not one of those guys that box read anything and say, oh, well, this guy's better, this guy's better. Well, show me something on the field first. Let me pass the eye test. Pass the eye test for me. But you're right. Going into this game, I'm the type, a fan, number one, that likes to have both teams 100% healthy. I don't like it like last year. Cooper Rush, okay, yeah. Cooper Rush, okay, no big deal. 4-1 coming in. I don't care, man. It's not our healthy squad. I want, varsity level play each other. I hate when a player goes down, regardless of any team. Honestly, like I have a lot of friends who are Dallas Cowboy fans, like, oh man, I wish Jalen Hurts was out. Well, dude, first of all, yeah, you're going to make it easier to win, an opportunity to win. But what does that show you, man? You're not beating an elite team. You're beating a less demanded team here. I want physicality on physicality. I want the best to play the best, regardless of win or lose. I want to see it. I call a lot of things measuring sticks. How does my team measure up against arguably the best team in the NFL right now? And the craziest thing is, you always see me keep it real. The thing is crazy is about the Eagles have not put a physical game together, a three-phase game together for 60 minutes. That's the scariest thing. We've seen Dallas do it one time this year. That was it. And that was actually against the Patriots, an all-out three-phase game, offense, defense, special teams, scoop and score, 1 pick six, 3 touchdowns, on the offense, 2 on the defense, 1 on special teams. That was just a three-phase game, something the Eagles haven't put together yet. They really haven't. They find wins the way. Kudos to them. Close game, blowout. I don't give a damn how you win the game. When I look at the win column and I say, wow, the Eagles are 7-1. How'd they do that? I don't care how they did it. They won the game. Dallas, 5-2. Well, how'd you win 5? You won 5 games. You lost 2. I look at the losses more than the wins, honestly. Scott says, let's see, Swift has been playing amazing. OCF. I just hate when they put in game well. I mean, you know what? I think you're going to have to put in. You're going to have the 3-headed running back today, Scott. I really do. I think Penny gets in the game too a little bit because Dallas has been giving up a lot of yards on that to the offensive running backs. I mean, regardless of who they are. McCaffrey had a great game. You look at all these running backs that they played so far. Hell, even Zeke had a couple. Well, Zeke they shut down basically. I think that was more of a morale game, honestly. But they've been giving up a lot of yards on the defensive side of the ball, which is kind of amazing. I mean, to me, you have Lawrence, you have Jonathan Hankins, you have Odighizuwa, which I love saying that name, Odighi, and then you have Dorrance Armstrong, of course, and you bring in Mozzie Smith and Gallimore. I mean, that front four right there with 2-man rotation is pretty deep as well. But Dallas has been giving up a lot of yards on the offside of the ball to the running backs, regardless of size and power. They do struggle with that. And I think it's that with the linebacker play too, missing assignments, not filling the holes. I hate saying this, but in the beginning 3 games of the year, I really hate saying this guy's name. I miss him to death. One of my favorite players, actually. LVE, Leighton Vander Esch. We know he's not an east and west runner. He's a north runner. He can't run south. He can't backpedal. But to me, when he plays, he plugs the hole very well. Missing Overshawn in the rookie this year, having his ACL injury in preseason hurt a lot too. Jabril Cox they got rid of, which is kind of surprising too, but he didn't pan out. So I think we're going to see a lot of running backs here. I think Gainwell is going to be the sweep guy outside. They're going to use Swift and Penny inside the gaps here. I think Gainwell comes on a couple wheel routes, which scares me. And I think he's going to get, I think he's going to have a good game too, because he's going to be the outside guy for that, that thunder and lightning look. So advantage Philadelphia, man. I hate saying that. I can't believe I'm saying that. Really can't. Scott says 24-17 Birds. Man, that's kind of close. I have it 33-29, Scott. I have it 33-29 Dallas, but that's going with a little bit of my heart, and that's giving Mike McCarthy a lot of, respect that I really don't have with him right now, play calling wise. And a lot of it comes down to, number 4, my QB, Dak Prescott. Can he make the right reads? If you put pressure on him, he's actually the craziest thing with Dak Prescott, believe it or not. He's actually a better outside the pocket quarterback than inside the pocket. When he's on the run, his average is 72% outside the hash marks, out beyond the hash marks, throwing outside on the run, bootlegs, a little run and go, little bootlegs out there. He's better on the go. When he's in the pocket, and even if you give him time, I think he was 68% over 4 seconds on the ball in the pocket. Great. But if you put pressure on him inside the pocket, this is unbelievable. His stat is 43% possession rate, completion rate, which is very, very bad. And the Eagles have that ability to get pressure on him, of course. So we'll see. I mean, 33-29 Dallas, and that goes a lot to saying, that Dak Prescott needs to have a good game, of course. Scott says, I forgot Penny was here, shaking my head. Why even brought him in? He don't even play. I get that. But the good thing, Scott, if you think about it, he's healthy, man. He doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires this year, neither does Gainwell coming back. So I think Boston Scott being out, I think that's going to be Gainwell's solution here. He's going to play the speed back coming in outside. And I think, Sirianni and Brian Johnson's going to call the right game, honestly. I really do. I hate saying that, but, the advantage goes to the coaching staff. I love Dan Quinn, our defensive coordinator. I think he's sufficient. He's elite. He's bringing a lot to this table, number 5 defense in the league the last 2 or 3 years under his system. But Dallas needs to put a 3-game phase together, offense, defense, special teams. But, I'm just hoping for a great game, man. I'm going to get out of here now. Before we get out of here, I'm going to read a couple of our sponsors really quick. Excuse me, lose my voice. And I hope I don't lose my voice at 4 o'clock, man. But listen, guys, if you're in Philadelphia and you get hurt down at the Linc, to that trashy Linc down there, or, if you're a Cowboys fan, you go down there and you see a ridiculous Eagles fan who wants to start crap, make sure you put this number in your pocket. Put it on speed dial. 1-800-HURT-123. Attorney Jason Fine. Big Al. Motor vehicle accident, slip and fall, workman's comp. And, of course, that personal injury claim today, because it could happen down there. And make sure, once again, you call 1-800-HURT-123. Got 3 convenient locations offices throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. If you're in Jersey and you make it back home, give them a call at Cherry Hill, 3 Greensward Lane. Also in Philadelphia, Suite 1628, Suite 2120, and also my neck of the woods, Pittsburgh, PA, 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. Once again, 1-800-HURT-123, Attorney Jason Fine, Big Al. And whoever operator you get, mention out of the box, no recovery, no fee. If we take your case, hell, if you call the 1-800 number, you might even get me on the phone, but just don't call me when a football game's on, I'll tell you that. But if I answer the phone or any operator out there, we take your case at guaranteed rate out of the box, mention out of it, you'll give you 33 1/3% guaranteed rate. Also, guys, listen, it's Sunday. Monday morning is coming up. Get on the web. Make sure you order some coffee. The evolution of flavor-infused coffee, bourbon chocolate chips, toasted coconut rum, Samaritan blend, newest blend, Perula, Florida. Make sure you use promo code OTBS Sports at monkeycoldcoffee.com. Get your coffee now while you can. It's going fast. One of the top coffees out there. I actually drink it myself. Great flavors, I'm telling you. And before you hit that checkout, get to the swag shop. Get a coffee mug, get a T-shirt, get a K-cup adapter, get a cold beer diffuser. You name it, they got it. Travel mugs, they have everything. I'm telling you. Make sure you use promo code OTBS Sports at the checkout, of course. So, guys, that is our show for today. I appreciate everybody checking in. We'll get our last couple of comments here. Scott says, hey, Paul, good chopping it up with you. Hey, man, talk to you later. Scott, I appreciate that, man. Don't be a stranger. I really enjoy talking to you. I love talking to people that love sports, man. And you're one of my favorites as well. You keep it real. I keep it real. Cowboy fans know better than to run their mouths. Scott, it's funny that you said that, man. I'll tell you a story real quick if you're still here. I used to go to every Philadelphia Cowboys games, and I'm 6 foot. I'm like 250. My son is 6'2", 250, built like a brick house. And I always, people ask me like, "Wow, you really wear your stuff down there?" Yeah, I do wear my stuff down there. I'm a fan that I know my team, I know my game, I know the NFL. I don't talk trash, but if you give it to me, I'll give it to you back. But my rule is this, Scott. Say what you want. I don't care. Just don't touch me, man. Well, me and my son were sitting there. We were, I think it was section 125 or something like that. And we got there, and this guy behind me was actually putting popcorn in my hoodie. I had one of my favorite players, Jason Witten, on, my white jersey, and a blue hoodie underneath. And this guy was putting popcorn in my back hoodie. And I felt one piece like hit my neck or whatever. So I turned around. I looked at him. He's like, I didn't do nothing. So my son turns around and he's like, looking at him. He's like, brother, you got a problem? He's like, yeah, I hate Cowboy fans. So my son actually stood up and grabbed him by the throat, and they were about to go at it. So I was like, yo, Shane, stop, chill out. It ain't worth it, brother. So right after that, of course, it's, I don't know if it's all events or all stadiums, Scott, I really don't know, that they text this thing and security comes right down. Well, like 5 security guards came down and they grabbed me and they grabbed my son and tried to escort my son. I was like, nah, brother, hold up. Boy, this ain't working, brother. So it was so crazy. That's fans, real fans, I respect 100%. I really do. 700 level ones, even though there's not 700 levels, but now, other than the vet, I don't respect. 5 or 6 Eagle fans right in front of us, right in back of him, right next to him, all stood up and said, no, it was this Eagles fan right here. He's a complete idiot. Get him out of the game. And the craziest thing, I was like, wow, thank you so much. Next thing I know, 4 or 5 beers came to us, by other people handing. My son was 21 years old at the time. And I think it was 21 or 22, I'm sorry. And they handed him beers. And they're like, hey, man, here, this is for you, kid. This is for you, And that, I respect a lot of fans, first and foremost, number one, I'm a fan of the game, number one, man. Scott says, absolutely. Talk about, exactly. That's my thing, man. Say what you want. Of course, we go back and forth, banter between each other, but real fans know when I say something, you'll never hear me say the 5. I put it on my banner, but I don't, it's like you see behind me, the 5 Super Bowl champs, but I don't bring that up because my thing is, what have you done for me lately? Brother, it's been 27 years, okay? I'm not a bandwagon fan. I still been here. My Notre Dame team, my banner behind me, the last championship was 1998, okay? I'm sorry, 1988. I'm very sorry. That makes it worse. But I still do a Notre Dame show every Saturday. I still do my Cowboys show every Wednesday. I'm a fan, man. Number one, brother. Number one. Scott's last comment. See a lot of us Eagles fans are not knuckleheads. Now, Scott, there's a lot of great ones out there, man. Some of my best friends are all Eagles fans, including you. Hey, no disrespect, man. I respect real fans that are fans, man. Really do. But guys, my name is Paul Spencer. I'm going to get out of here. Let's go Cowboys. And let's get that win today, regardless of what the records are. Let's get into it. Let's put the Eagles down today. Let's make them 7-2 going into their bye week. They still have a half-game lead on today after we win this game today. But you know what? It is what it is. Let's send them on a bye week thinking about what they have to do. So my last thing I want to give you guys is this right here. The 215 was cold, ruthless, unfiltered truth. Cowboys, Eagles. Let's beat that Eagle ass today. And make sure you subscribe to Out of the Box, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Let's go, Cowboys. And guys, have a great day. I appreciate everybody checking in. Scott says, my favorite team is Michigan. Oh, I can't stand you, Scott. You just rubbed me the wrong way being a Notre Dame fan. But, Scott, I want to bring back that rivalry, Notre Dame, Michigan. I missed that. They should bring it back, of course. But, guys, my name is Paul Spencer. I will see you at the pregame show probably around like 7:45, 8-ish tonight. We'll talk about that Cowboys win, and I'll be the first one to admit if the Philadelphia Eagles win, I'll give you respect there too. My name is Paul Spencer, and see you guys tonight. Have a great day.